Hello everyone, this is Doctor, and with me is Typical Manga Fan. Since last week didn't have, or this week rather, didn't have a One Piece chapter, we're doing something a little bit different today. We're actually reviewing something that's actually already right here on YouTube. It's a cartoon from Cartoon Hangover, Frederator Productions, called Bee and Puppycat. The same week we didn't have One Piece, they released their third episode, so we're going to be reviewing that one. For those who don't know, Bee and Puppycat is basically a show about a young woman named Bee. She has trouble keeping a job until she meets Puppycat, who gives her interdimensional temp work. It's about as weird as it sounds, but it's a fun series. So, and there'll be links to like the playlist and videos as we go through this on here. I'll have them annotated in the video.
You know what I really like about the series? That it has this really weird sense of humor that I kind of like.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like Adventure Time or a regular show where it's like just outright outrageous.
Yeah,
but like
it's like a sort of calm outrageous.
It's homey, it's cozy.
Yeah,
and
like I said, you probably already know this, but the creator of this show, it was a character designed for Adventure Time.
Yeah,
Natasha Allegri, I believe the name is.
Yeah, so it's like it's sort of like you can see some type of connection with Adventure Time, but at the same time though you could also see Natasha's individual creativity.
Yep. And you can kind of see the Adventure Time like with the last episode, the farmer one, because that was right out of Adventure Time.
Oh yeah. Man, it gets really weird.
Yeah.
So let's start with talking about the episode.
Yep. Actually, we're going to start here. What I'm going to bring up first is actually going to be the title card, because while I was playing up the video so we could review it, I actually noticed something on here. It's Bee and Puppycat. We have a little picture, but on the bottom right it says Beach, the title of the episode. Below that it actually says in Japanese, in Hiragana, Umi, which is the sea, which is what they call the beach.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah, I mean that's I've learned I didn't notice that. That was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And we open on Bee watching a TV show called Pretty Patrick. Basically, just a guy there eating salad while she gargles yogurt. Soon it will be cheese.
You know, I'd rather be like that guy in a show called Rick and Morty, in which they decide to watch people eating shit. Because it seems like some of these days, like the TV shows that we see, the program, like the characters watch, is so like really weird and really out there.
Yeah. Anyway, the show is Pretty Patrick's Lunchtime, and they're actually running a marathon of this episode, with the promise of the big episode at the end being the one that reveals his favorite food ever. And Bee loves this show. And actually, hang on a second, I just noticed something here. There's that little portrait in her house right behind it. I think that's Pretty Patrick. Little portrait in the background of her house.
Oh, what's the time? I'm on the video too.
Oh, it's about 35 seconds in. Like, look right behind her.
Oh wait! Oh yeah, you're right.
Little touches like that are nice, and also there seems to be like a 1960s tape computer on the left side there of the room.
I'm also look at her attic and see what's in there. There's like some really weird stuff, like space stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like a picture of her, I saw her father supposed to look like a scientist, so there's probably something related to that.
Huh.
Anyway, like I said, Bee loves this show. You see Puppycat sitting with her, he's like twitching, but me too. I can't tell if he's just saying that because she likes it or if he just actually does like it.
Yeah.
Also for people that aren't familiar with the series, Puppycat, he talks, but he talks like these bells and like these little whistling noises that so far only Bee seems to be able to understand, and the interdimensional characters. Of course, Bee's enjoyment of the marathon is interrupted by a little boy who insists she touches wet hair because it's wet because of toilet water.
And the boy's name is Cardamon.
Yep. And
he's apparently her landlord, and it's really weird to fathom that. And he has a English accent, so it's also kind of in contrast with his obviously small body. And I was wondering why he was a landlord, and I checked, and it says that his mother is either in a coma or passed.
Before you say that, like I said, Bee asks the little boy, "How's your mom? Still sleeping?" That's where this comes from. Basically, the implication being that the mom might either be comatose and or deceased.
Yeah. So obviously, which is might be the reason for why he's the landlord.
Yeah.
So the toilet's apparently overflowing, and it's leaking into his toilet. So he's got to fix it because he's the landlord.
And his tool for the job is a squeaky hammer. with a smiley face on it.
I don't see what he's doing. He's like tapping the hammer into the middle of the toilet. It's like, what is he doing?
It's funny though, because Puppycat walks up, like holds out his paw. I want the hammer.
Yeah. Who doesn't want the hammer?
The kid's like, what?
But can Puppycat lift the hammer? That's the question.
Yeah, he mentions that they don't allow pets, but at the same time, B's like, he pays rent?
Yeah.
I noticed nobody's taking notice of the fact that he's bipedal. Like, he walks on 2 legs.
Yeah, I've always thought, does everyone understands B, right? I mean, Puppycat, right?
Only B seems to so far.
Oh, because I'm just like, it's really weird that people would notice wouldn't notice him walking around. I mean, do they notice that?
Apparently they noticed that part, but like it's like in the first episode, like the one guy she visits, like he hears Puppycat speak, but he only hears the whistling noises.
Okay, yeah, I was like, okay, so apparently they notice the fact that he's walking around, but they don't notice that he can speak. Although one would argue that with the way he walks, you can see signs of intelligence.
Yeah. Anyway, Cardamon is pretty much saying he wants room to work, like breathing room to work, so he makes them back up further and further and further, and pretty much backs them up so far that they wind up at the beach. And he's texting them to still go even further.
How does he know?
What I find funny here is that somehow along the way they changed in the bathing suits.
Exactly. I was gonna mention that. I was like, when did they find the time? It's like they knew they were gonna get to the beach.
Maybe they just happened to pass through a dressing room at the time. Anyway, B just does up her Puppycat wants to play in the water, but B does not like the water.
Yeah.
He does not water. Then a crab comes up calling Puppycat homie, and starts following them around.
Yeah. Yep. And there's something really let's see, and the crab. There's something really peculiar about this crab.
He sees like 2 mounds in the sand, and it's like cleavage, dude.
And throughout the entire episode, it's just him finding like really weird ways to create cleavage. It's like the weirdest thing ever. He just puts 2 things together, like two hamburgers or 2 hot dogs together.
2 popsicles, hot dogs.
Yeah, it's just really weird.
And Puppycat just keeps chasing them, hitting them away. Ice cream cleavage.
I don't think that's anyone as perverted as this guy. I don't think you can find anyone who actually just puts 2 things together and says, yeah, cleavage.
It gets so bad that Puppycat gets Exorcist creepy. Like his head spins around in frustration.
Oh, man.
And in that short span of time, B gets a 10. It's like, she wants to watch the show, but none of the cafes that they're going to try and that have TVs are running the show she wants to watch. And Puppycat's like, force them to change the channel. I don't like telling people what to do. Puppycat's like, you should. It's amazing. Then we have a nice little moment with B here, though. Like, basically, like, she talks about like how she'd like to make her own cafe, and she can like have all her friends there. Like, her friend Deckard could be the cook. They could watch their show all day. Her friend's sister could program some non-breakable toilets so that when Cardamon shows up, he doesn't have to fix anything. It's actually kind of nice that B thinks like that. Like, he likes the idea of just doing stuff with them, but it's like Puppycat, though he's kind of the grumpy type, doesn't dismiss the idea. It's just like, you need a lot of money for it. Of course, that gives her the idea of going to TempBot, which is like basically a huge TV, as she puts it, that they go to for their work.
Yeah, it seems that B is the dreamer and Puppycat is the practical, the realist.
Yeah, but one thing I noticed, Puppycat seems like really does seem to care about and like B. Like, they only meet suddenly, but like, oh, by the way, the crab pants his Puppycat looking for butt cleavage.
Yeah, it's weird that he goes for the male. I mean,
yeah, well, he's the one that you can actually get the pants off of.
True.
Of course, it's a cat. He's furry, so there's not much really to see.
I mean, it just seems really weird that we know he's a guy. Like, Puppycat is a guy. We know that. So
yeah, it's funny though, because like, actually, when I get into notes and I looked it up on the trope page, is that each episode has a talking animal, some kind of with Puppycat. Like the first one, the pilot has a ladybug. Like, Puppycat's yelling, "Bow to me, peon," and the ladybug's like, "No, thank you." And then the first proper episode has the cicada. Who wants to have a million babies with me? Who wants to make a million babies with me? Who wants to make a million babies with me? Who wants to make a million babies with me? Like, just saying that over and over and over again, because that's what their chirping basically is, a mating call.
Yeah. And, of course, with Puppycat, there is no cleavage. Oh,
yeah.
wah, wah, wah.
Yep, so Puppycat brings up a letter that lets him go to the place where Tempbot is. Their little interdimensional place. They start running after it as it gets blown away by the wind, and for some reason, a bunch of cats show up and start running alongside B.
Yeah, I didn't really understand that. Where the hell did that come from?
I don't know. Where the hell does any of this come from?
I don't know. The right. That's where they come from.
Well, yeah, the right side of the screen here. Anyway, Puppycat gets the envelope, but B won't go into the water with him to get it. Like, you're gonna make me come over there, aren't you?
It's a Puppycat's half cat. Of anyone in this cast, he should be the one not coming into the water. It's just ridiculous. Like, come on. Then why are you wearing a bathing suit? Or at least a swimsuit, whatever. So that it's.
Okay. Also, here's another thing, a little bit with Puppycat's like, he's like, I'm hungry, but Puppycat's like, we just had food. Yeah, I know. Then Puppycat just suddenly changes his tune. I could eat.
Yeah.
It's like he'll change his tune for her.
That's an interesting way of saying it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, like we come back, we end up here like these are just short episodes, so we wind up back at the house for the last few seconds of it, last 30 seconds. Pretty Patrick is still on TV but muted. Cardamon has traded in the squeaky hammer for a toy fishing pole, and apparently pulled out a bit of canned food.
It's like, how did this get in here?
Even he's like, why?
I know, right? Like canned food, and it has an angel like face with wings, and it's just winking. It's just really weird. That's the greatest line. The why?
The delivery. That's the thing with this, though. The way the dialogue is delivered is what makes the difference. Like going to the earlier episode, like they come back after finishing the job. He lands on the couch, like, oh, I'm so glad there's nothing sharp on my couch. Actually, the way I said it right there almost sounds like the Prophet guys from Dragon Ball Abridged. I can see the future.
Oh yeah, the Canasons.
Yeah. Oh, my Vegeta, have a kid. Gohan becomes strongest in the universe, but still doesn't do crap.
You read the description. It says they'll never look at a crab the same way again.
Yeah, that's true. Well, you'll never imagine a crab looking at you the same way again.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So to talk about the episode overall, I mean, it's a really interesting episode because, first of all, we waited a long time for these episodes to come out. So
yeah. And I noticed a pattern with these episodes. I mentioned this to you off the air, but there's a pattern with these episodes so far. Like in the pilot episode, obviously that starts off in the real world first because we're learning about establishing B and meeting Puppycat and all that. Then the second part of the pilot is them doing their first job in fishbowl space. Then the first proper episode comes up. They're also in the real world. They're visiting her friend Deckard and cooking. Then they have to go into like a last-second temp job for more money to get the last ingredient. That's episode 2. They go in for the work. They wind up in that little Jello cube planet. And then now here we're episode 3. We start off with this part on the beach and the cafes and all that. And now with episode 4, we're about to go into the different space again. So it's like the first part of the episode will always have them in the real world. The second part will put them in there, which makes me wonder what will happen towards the end because they had the Kickstarter to make new episodes. They got enough money for 9 episodes, so that means we might be seeing a 3-parter somewhere along the way, maybe, or maybe like a one-shot.
Well, I'm actually wondering, like, if there's a reason for this type of switch. Is there like, do you think they're trying to get at something here, or are they just trying to make sure that we don't get we kind of get used to both environments and really expand the universes in, or it's just a random coincidence?
You could be right with that first one there. Like maybe they're doing this for the first few episodes, like first few storylines, and then they can do one-shots to focus entirely on one or the other for the last few episodes. Like they can maybe do an entire one in a different space because they don't have to focus on the other one anymore, or vice versa because we know the characters now.
Yeah. And of course, it's a really interesting series because it has, again, as I said before, it has a really sense of humor. The acting is also really. The delivery of the lines are really interesting. I mean, they're not. I wouldn't call them the greatest actors in the world, especially with B. Yeah. But like, the way they say the lines, I think the direction is there.
Yeah, so it's not like lack of talent or anything. It's just like they're just kind of doing in their own thing, kind of, so to speak.
It's like they're bored, but they're not really. It's a really weird. Like you can't because that's the point. Like B is bored half the time. And Puppycat's just. Puppycat. I mean, the Vocaloid thing. I mean, I don't really know what to think of that.
Yeah, like
I wonder why they choose that though. You know?
Yeah, we mentioned earlier that he speaks like whistling noises, but we didn't mention at the time that is actually voiced by a Vocaloid called Oliver. I don't know how the whole Vocaloid thing works, but that's basically what it is.
The Vocaloids usually combine voices from different people and then combine them. I mean, that's what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
They combine different voices. So I don't know how, if Puppycat is different, or if I don't know. I maybe looking too much into it because it's just really weird to have a Vocaloid voice at all.
As a cast
as a
member?
character. Yeah. Usually you have. I hate Vocaloids, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie. I hate it when they're saying. I hate everything about them. But it's just really weird to hear one as a cast, like an actual character.
Yeah.
Talking, not singing, in a series that isn't Hatsune Miku.
Yeah.
So
of course, not that it doesn't work. I mean, it does add its own little quirk to the series.
Yeah, it took me a while to get used to it, just because I hate Vocaloids so much.
Yeah.
But
well, if you didn't know it was a Vocaloid to begin with, would you care about how Puppycat talks?
I'd just be like, why the hell is he talking like that?
Yeah.
Why do I have to have a subtitle translate what he's saying? I don't know. It's really weird. But yeah, good humor. Interesting. I don't know if this episode specifically is going. It's just for fun, or is it going to actually be part of something bigger, though? Is it?
At the very least, it's a two-parter, obviously, because it's like part 1 of 2, and the next part's going to be them with Tempot and doing whatever they do there. Chances are they get sent on a job as trade-off for watching the show.
Yeah, because I feel like right now they're just kind of getting used with the characters, and I don't know if this is because it's like a season 1 type of thing, because right now it's kind of like standalone episodes really at this point, standalone plots that aren't two-parters, but right now they're just kind of like, there's not really a bigger, maybe there is and we're just not noticing, but there's not really a bigger like overall plot going forward. It's just them having their adventure, which is which may be the way to go, because Adventure Time was like that.
Yeah.
They don't really. Adventure Time doesn't really get into big plots. Unless it's like over a large amount of time. Individually,
they
a lot of standalone episodes. Yeah.
They do it gradually there, yeah. And it's kind of a spiritual successor on the same channel. Bravest Warriors is kind of like that too. Like there is a wider plot line, but it's not really referenced much. It's like gradually brought up now and again. Season 2 more than Season 1, actually.
Yeah, but the problem with being Puppycat is that it's not going to be as long as Adventure Time, and so I don't know how I don't know how the pacing is going to work out, because I don't want to jump. I don't like it when it jumps into the plot like literally 3 episodes, like 3 episodes when it before it ends.
Yeah.
Like the way a lot of series tends to do with these type of situations. I don't want to be like like for the first or was it 6 episodes, 7 episodes to be like whatever, and then suddenly in episode 8 be like, oh my gosh, this is happening, that's happening. It's just like, oh, no, that's not, then it kind of feels, the tone change needs to be right. It can't be too dramatic. It can't be too fast, too rapid. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel right. So right now, there's a lot of, if you watch episode 1, 2, and 3, and of course the pilot, you get a sense of what the series is about, and maybe maybe this is, of course, moving towards Puppycat being human again.
Maybe, or at least humanoid, because that's implied with the pilot episode.
Yeah. But other than that, I don't see what's the end goal, other than just to show what Bee's life is with Puppycat.
Yeah, the only hint we really have to like an overarching plot are those weird dreams Bees occasionally had in the past episodes.
Yeah. And of course, it's got the series has got to keep us hooked, because remember the release dates aren't as frequent.
Looks like it might be like a once a month thing, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. So they have to find a way to hold our attention and make us remember stuff without having us to rewatch every episode every month, because
like I said, the episodes are short, so it's not like it's a big deal to at least go to the very last one. But yeah, you're right about that.
It can't assume that, because also not to mention that many of us are busy and we're just watching. So, and also because it's short, is it as memorable?
Of course, in that vein, they have been doing, like they did with the last 2 episodes, they'll probably do it here as well. Like, once both episodes are released, both parts, they do release a video that combines them together.
Probably.
So if you wait a little while, you get just both of them in one shot.
Yeah.
Just watch at your leisure, basically.
At the same time, though, I really hope they don't do a clip show. That's a no-no for this type of situation.
They don't do what?
A clip show.
Oh.
A recap episode. I don't think that's going to happen, because that's not this type of series. It's not long enough, and I think they already allocated the budget in a way that they know what they're going to do.
Yeah. Like, basically, and in a way, in that sense, like, looking at some of the YouTube comments for the video, like, basically, like, they got the episodes generally made, but they're tweaking them right up to the last second.
Yeah.
Like, they're putting in the little tweaks things here and there, right up to the very last moment of posting. They're working on it pretty much nonstop.
Which is one thing, but then of course that also makes me, a little worried about, is there going to be any last minute changes that might be too problematic? Because it's one thing to do last minute tweaks, but you don't want it to be too big. Otherwise, you might end up changing too much.
Yeah. I said the comment that gave the impression that they have the episodes like ready to go. Mostly they're just doing like little things, technical things to keep it looking good.
Going OCD over it, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Just don't do it like George Lucas, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, don't make any special editions of being Puppycat.
Because I know creators almost never satisfied with their work, so
yeah. No, I haven't actually seen the new Star Wars trailer yet myself. I keep meaning to, but the reason I bring it up at all is because apparently one thing some fans have done is apparently set it to Spaceballs.
Okay, well, there's another one too. I'll tell you about that later, but yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's a good episode. I don't like it as much as the pilot or even episode 1, but it's a good episode. I guess kind of in betweenish type of thing for me.
Yeah, like I said, since they're built in the sense of act as kind of like two parters, it'll be a bit better when we get the second one. Like the first proper episode, they kind of released both at once, so it's kind of like a startup, so to speak. So that kind of helped them a little bit right there.
I will say one thing: the Cardamon, the landlord, is very memorable. I remember him specifically in this episode. So because he doesn't even say that much, but his line, for the way the actor delivers it, and the lines itself is really awesome. And of course, what he does, why? Yeah, I know. It's just it's very memorable, and I like this character. I hope he appears more.
Yeah. And also, you have the last play of Deckard, who had a little speech impediment where he doesn't quite say words quite right.
Yeah.
He stalls over words, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a neat little touch there, too.
Okay, so any other comments you want to add?
Anyway, yeah, as for last second comments, nothing too much just yet. I'm kind of curious what we'll see in the next episode in terms of, because next, will they actually hang out with Tempbot, or will they get sent on some kind of job first, or will something else go on?
Yeah. And maybe they might be, what?
There is one thing I wanted to bring up, a little theory of mine I kind of thought about watching these episodes. Like I mentioned before, in the last episode, they couldn't, her friend Deckard couldn't understand Puppycat, but she can.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you can only understand Puppycat after you go into the other world. Once you're in there and come back, then you can understand him, because that's the first time B hears him speak too. When they're after she gets transported and they're face to face with Tempbot for the first time.
Was this the pilot?
Yeah. She doesn't hear him speak until that moment.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen the pilot, so I gotta double check that. But yeah, it seems like
we hear Puppycat speak commanding the ladybug to bow down, but after that it's B doesn't hear him talk until the second episode. He's like, "Hey, you talk." Kind of.
He's from that dimension, right?
Well, he's from something anyway.
Well, yeah,
I say interdimensional
maybe
for lack of a better term. I say interdimensional for lack of a better term.
Okay, well, he's from around that area, right? Because that type of world. So because all the magic and all that stuff, and the fact that he's a Puppycat. So I'm assuming that's just kind of being somewhat affected by the atmosphere of his world. So kind of like that,
Yeah, exactly. Something about there is what enabled them to actually hear him.
This doesn't really go into much factor unless someone else comes with her in later episodes.
Yeah, which I kind of want to see happen at some point, just to see if people are actually start seeing what she's up to in the as her work.
Yeah, because we don't really know what the point of the other characters are, other than to either to develop her character, or maybe to support her in another role. We don't know what these other characters are for at this point.
Well, we know Deckard's her crush.
Well, yeah, but we don't. That's what I'm saying, to develop her character, but we don't really know any more specific, because right now they're just kind of static characters. They're just there to serve one purpose. But we don't know if these characters are going to get their own type of development, especially with a series this short.
Yeah.
9 episodes. What do you think it was supposed to be? 9 episodes, maybe.
9 episodes, and they're about 6.5 minutes or so each.
Yeah, so they got to be really careful with how much time they spend with each character, and if they want to develop them or not. So right now we don't. There's a lot we don't know right now, though.
Yeah, actually, I think they're doing an okay job with that. At least, if Cardamon's any indication, at least, because you said he's the most memorable one to you.
Yeah, but they can't be everyone cannot be Cardamon. Cardamon is one of those characters that you generally get once or twice, but not that many times.
Right.
And that applies to all series. So Deca, whatever his name is, I don't remember the guy's name. So
Yeah, but at the same time, you do know who I'm talking about, though.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The crush, and then
the crush who gets Umbrella.
The other girl.
Yeah. Cass is the sister.
Okay.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, I like that bit in the last episode. They were like they're insulting each other, and then he goes that last little bit too far and she's just sitting there cracking her knuckles while they're both still laughing.
Yeah, I remember that. But see, that's the thing. It's kind of like maybe it's because it's been too long since I've seen the last episodes. But
Maybe,
yeah, but yeah. So other than that, I think that's about it, right?
Yep, I think we're good to go here. Like I said, at this point, like I said, I'll try to make sure that there's a link to being Puppycat throughout the video, so you can go there anytime you want. Anybody who wants to. Meantime, that'll be us for our typical reviews for this week. Later this week, along with Bleach and One Piece, as they come out, later this week we'll be looking into doing a review of Attack on Titan, Chapter 64.
Yep.
So look forward to that, I hope, and we'll be going over that one. Meantime, you guys have a good rest of your day, and thanks for listening.
Bye!